All right, welcome everybody into the Bears Den, another edition with Saul Rodriguez, along with my guy Shawn Sierra. Football is here, man. It's Thursday. Yesterday it felt like Christmas Eve. Today is here. You got football today, football on Friday, then you come back with Sunday and then Monday. So I'm sure everyone's hype. I'm sure you're hype, Shawn. How you doing, man?
I can't even tell you how fired up I am, Saul. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Woo, for the next next few months. I like it a lot.
No, yeah, well, that's the best part about it is it's just nonstop. Like I love seeing those tweets where people like all off season they're like 2 more Sundays. You got Sean Hansen talking about it. You got fans talking about it. This is the last Sunday without football, all that type of stuff. So I'm hyped, ready to go. And as we always talk about, we always go back to baseball. Like our teams, Chicago baseball is not doing well, so it's time to move on to football and keep our eyes set on that. So we'll talk Hard Knocks episode 5 for the Bears. And talk a little bit about week 1 as well, looking ahead to the Titans, and get our predictions in as well. We'll try to get to as much as we can, talk a little bit about tonight's game with KC and Baltimore and so on and so forth. But first off, to lead off the Hard Knocks episode, it was a season finale of Bears training camp version of Hard Knocks. What'd you think, Shawn? Because I know like we've talked about it, multiple times here as we've recapped every episode. Of course, you and Joe Tanksley did it last week. It's not the best Hard Knocks by no means, but I think they did a good job in showing Chicago, showing off personalities on the Bears that maybe you didn't know of, and kind of introducing Caleb Williams to the world, and now even we have guys that have become kind of, I wouldn't say like well-known players, but they got a little bit more respect in guys like Adrian Colbert, who was part of the cuts in this episode, stuff like that. But what did you think overall on the season finale of Hard Knocks?
I think it put Ryan Poles in a really, really good light. It showed the human side of him, and it makes it really easy to root for him and be a fan of Ryan Poles. The fact that he had to step off camera because he was about to cry, or probably he was crying when he had to cut over, showed you two things. One, he's human, but two, he still he does what he's got to do. And I think it painted him in a great light, and I love it. And I like the way they did the storylines. All right, they did the storylines, and I thought it was pretty cool. With Colbert, with Ian Wheeler, with Tyson Bagent. I thought those were really cool. So I think it was pretty good. I really haven't watched a lot of Hard Knocks before. Actually, I haven't watched any Hard Knocks before, to be honest with you, because they weren't the Bears. I'm like, I don't really give a damn about any other team, truth be told. But I thought it was good, man. I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, comparing it to other seasons, definitely, I think that we've seen some better seasons, but it was cool in the sense of, like I've said before, like I've always wanted to see the Bears on there because, like as you say, other teams are on there, other teams are having a good time on Hard Knocks, but ultimately, how much do I really care compared to like my own team? And seeing my own team on there, it was pretty cool. I mean, you had guys going to the store in the last episode, going to Woodman's, which is a great store I love to go to. No sponsor here, but that's just, I love that store. And it's just I feel like it was great to show their family. I mean, you showed DJ Moore in this episode, talking about how they're going to add another house. Yeah, brand new house. They're gonna, his wife's pregnant. Like, talking about how he wants to retire. But yeah, what'd you think about that? He talked about it. He basically kind of alluded to wanting to retire as a Bear. Like, you think that's something that could come to fruition, or it's maybe jumping the gun a little bit? Like, how do you feel about that? Because it could easily happen at this point. And obviously, you got that 4-year extension. You got 6 years left with the Bears. So, how'd you feel about him talking about how he wants to be a Bear for life, basically?
It could be. It could be. It all depends on him when he wants to retire. Because he's 27 now. He should be 27. It's 6 years left deal. So at that point, he's 33. 32, 33. Is he gonna be like a Keenan Allen? Would he want to come back for a 2-year deal? Worth a lot less per? I don't know, or maybe he's just done after this, the extension. Who knows? But it is a possibility. It is a very strong possibility that he retires a Bear. And man, that'd be dope. Because I would love. He's the kind of guy that I would love for him to have, a lot of the Bear records until Rome breaks them. Rome Odunze breaks them, probably a year or two after he leaves.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then when you look at the wideouts and you look at, you mentioned Rome Odunze, it was kind of cool also seeing in this episode kind of everyone coming together. It kind of, compared to the first episode where they're kind of like getting to know each other on the training, campground and all that, to seeing now, you have Rome Odunze and with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, those guys. And then you also have on the defense, Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, kind of working out. What do you think about that dynamic between those two sets of teammates, and just how it's working out, and kind of how you see the team kind of meshing together as we go into the season now?
If the phrase "iron sharpens iron" was a person, that was it. All right, when you had Jalen Johnson and Rome Odunze coming off, working with each other, and he was just trying to get a read and how he would do certain things with receivers, there, and then you had Montez Sweat working with Booker. Man, it literally, that's stuff like that is awesome. It's great to see. It shows you how the veterans looking after the youngsters, all right, and then the offense versus defense helping each other out. And man, that's nothing but iron sharpening iron, team helping team. And and Caleb had mentioned it before. The defense has been on them since he got there. They didn't take it easy on him. They didn't do anything because they understand. They realize that we're going to put you through the fire because we need to know when it's crunch time, you're not going to fold. And that's what teammates do. And I loved it. I was so happy with that. It was a great thing to see. I was fired up when I saw that, bro. I was fired up.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things you just see and you're just like, man, like it. I wonder what it's like, in the locker room. Everybody, when they talked about they picked the captains already too as well, and just kind of how everyone's talking about that with Caleb Williams being chosen. Like it's just you see it all looks very healthy, and you hope it translates, to on the field. And speaking of Caleb Williams too, you talk about that edit that they had that's kind of been going around a little viral where they just they show him passing in training camp. What do you think about that? Because I feel like that's pretty cool to see how it go. How not only does it show how obviously they put it together, but like how calculated training camp is, how quick it is, how fast you got to get the ball out, all these types of skills and drills that they put Caleb Williams through. What do you think about that, and kind of how not only the Hard Knocks put it together, but also just how Caleb Williams looked in those training camp skills and drills?
The editing was great.
Yeah.
Editing was great. As soon as it panned back, it was him another snap. Great job by HBO. He looks good. He looks good. The talent's never been in question. That was never a question, and so the kid looks good. The kid, he seems like he's comfortable in his skin. He seems like he is where he belongs. And, he's not overwhelmed by any stretch. He's not overwhelmed by the situation, not overwhelmed by being the number one pick, because that's something that he dreamed about. So you can't get overwhelmed by it because this is what you worked for and planned for your whole life. He's not overwhelmed by the defense. He's not overwhelmed. Yeah, sure, they get to him and they frustrate him at times, but there was plenty of times during camp where we heard that, wow, Caleb got the upper hand today. All right, he's a battler, he's a warrior. He doesn't back down. And I think that's what the defense respects about him. I think that's what the team respects about him. He's a rookie, and he's going up against a top 5, top 3. I said they're in the top 3 and not number 2 or 3 defense, and he's holding his own, and he's standing up to him and having good days. And every time that they get him, it's a great thing because it's a learning experience for him. And again, iron sharpening iron. I love that the kid can be phenomenal, especially if he does what Coach Eberflus said. Lean on your teammates. Lean on those stars you got. You got DJ Moore. You got Keenan Allen. You got Rome Odunze. You got Cole Kmet. You got DeAndre Swift. You got these guys. You don't got to do anything. You don't got to be Superman all the time, right? He had to do that last year at USC. Bam. But now don't do that. Just facilitate like they talked about and get those guys the ball until you're comfortable. And then, man, then or we need it. Then, go make a play. Or at that point, go be Superman, but until then, as long as he's good with that, which he seems to be, man, this offense, the sky's the limit with this offense, man. And I I like his processing. There's a lot to like about the kid, a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we've talked about this throughout the whole training camp and just in general, just seeing, him, and his talent, and it's about him putting it together and putting, in a game. Obviously preseason game obviously don't matter that much, but at least to what we have seen, we've seen him, bounce back from a slow start against the Bengals and all that. But obviously now the real test happens. And even, as he says, the practice is harder than the game. I'm sure that it might change a little bit once he gets on the field and takes on the Titans, because it's not going to be an easy matchup whatsoever. But going a little bit back to the cuts, because I did want to talk about a little bit more about that. What did you think about, besides how, Poles handled it with Colbert, because obviously that was pretty emotional and stuff like that. And we'll look at a clip here in just a sec. But what did you think about the other guys and the way that it was handled? Because obviously they had Austin Reed, they talked to Austin Reed, Brett Rippon, this was a race I feel like was more contested than people I think understand, right? With the whole quarterback and which third, if they were going to keep a third quarterback, how they were going to do it. I think maybe at the beginning of the offseason or the beginning of training camp, maybe some people would have been like, hey, maybe Tyson Bagent doesn't have a chance yet. And then they saw him go through the training camp and he killed it, obviously. And, he's an easy lock at number 2. What did you think about that, and just kind of how some of the guys handled it, as well as just how Ryan Poles handled, it's such a tough decision, because I mean, you look at some of these decisions they have to make. I'm glad I don't have to do it, because you're literally, and I know Ryan Poles for sure understands this as well as just other guys in the organization. You're dictating guys' lives, like their pockets, their bags, all that.
Yeah, crushing dreams.
Yeah, exactly. So how'd you feel about that, and how they shaped it out?
I think something tells me that they had a conversation, with the players off camera beforehand, because you know what. He was very upfront. He was very honest, but I mean, you also have to understand that's the nature of the beast. All right. That's the NFL. And I think he did a great job of being personal, not being a jag bag, not being, he was, and one of the guys asked him, what was the deciding factor? And he told him, he's a little too light in the ass, basically. We're looking for something a little heavier. I mean, he was very, very transparent. And I think people really, really, really respect that, and that's on display for the whole world to see. So now when you get free agents, you get other people who want to come. They're like, wait, this is the guy that I'm going to be playing for, who's straight up. And tell you, football, it's black or white. Boom, boom, boom. And you know what? The thing I love about it is that players, they may not like your decision, but if you keep it a buck with them, man, they'll have mad respect for you. They have mad respect for you. Because they, at that level, there's so many people, so many snakes, so many conniving people who lie and do it. And Poles just can't, is straight, direct forward, not in a condescending manner, not in a we don't need you anymore manner. You know what I mean? He's just like, hey, you did good, it just wasn't good enough. And I just think that the way he presented himself on the way in those cuts, I thought it made him look really, 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 really good.
Yeah, and you might have mentioned it too early on, but like just talking about how he's been through that, and he can relate to the players and all that.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit about the clip we're going to show you here right now, and just how Ryan Poles relates to these guys, because it wasn't an easy decision, as you said. Go ahead.
I said, I think that's a part of the reason why he does it the way he does it, because he's been cut from this team, and he knows, boom, this is the end of my football career, because he never took another snap after that.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look a little bit about Ryan Poles and how he handles the cuts on Hard Knocks.
To me, it's one of the worst days of this job. It's hard to tell that many people that their dream's ending. The ironic thing for me is I've been cut in this building before.
That was in 2008, when as an undrafted rookie out of Boston College, Ryan Poles tried to make the Bears.
Try to have a lot of empathy in the way that we communicate it, because these guys have put a lot of time and effort into making a football team. What I try to do is do a really good job giving feedback, so they at least know the why behind it, and they can continue to work on their craft and hopefully have an opportunity at some point to make a football team.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? Another thing too I wanted to say was, when it comes to the way he does it, is I like that he just straight up says it in the first minute. Like they walk in, sit down, and he tells them straight up, like, hey, we're gonna cut you today, we're gonna release you today. Like, which I think is really important, because because you don't want to beat around the like. That's how I always felt. Like, I'll be honest, like if that happened to me, I just do it right away, because I don't want to like we don't want to beat around the bush. Or you telling me like, hey man, you did really well, and you looked really good at game 2 of the preseason, and then like for them to be like, hey, look, but we don't have enough room for you. So that's something I did like about it and all in general. But the one thing too I wanted to ask you about was what did you think about the kind of the end montage and kind of how they closed it out, because that was definitely kind of like almost like a little bit of a love letter to Chicago, but also kind of like, I mean, the song is literally called "End of Beginning" by Joe, who's sang by Joe Keery from Stranger Things, excuse me. And yeah, like it's one of those things where they did it well with the music, they did it well with the way they put the city on there, the players closing out. They had Caleb Williams as the last guy, kind of breathing in and out. What'd you think about that ending and kind of how they closed it up there?
Well, I think it's perfect. I think because Caleb was the last person you saw on there, last player, and it's the beginning. It's the Caleb Williams era begins. All right, it begins Sunday, and I think that was great. And he's sitting there talking to himself, hyping himself up. Positive affirmations, and I just thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was great. Again, hats off to HBO. I mean, just excellent thinking about how they did it. They really did their recon and hit different, the way they showcased the city, and I just thought was awesome. So, but I thought it was apropos that you had Caleb, the last person there, him hyping himself up, because that is the beginning. All right, that is the beginning of the end of an old era and the beginning of a new era. The Caleb Williams era is about to begin in 48 hours.
Yeah, and it's one of my personal, like, and like I said, I've been watching these, and that is how they end every. Say it again.
72 hours. I thought it was Friday.
Oh. It's all good. It's all good, Shawn. My math is not my forte. I'm just like, a couple days, you know what I mean. But no, yeah, like I've been watching these Hard Knocks, and they end every single season with like a little bit of a montage and kind of like putting some hope. And I mean, I remember last year's the Jets was putting a lot of hope into and obviously they had a lot of hope until Aaron Rodgers was injured. But yeah, it does really get you pumped, and to see for your own team is pretty cool. But I think it's a good segue going into week 1 as the Bears host the Titans. I think I wanted to talk about that as well. It's kind of give us a little bit of predictions. But yeah, looking at this, man, I mean, we've talked about it in the offseason, getting, as soon as we saw the schedule, I think, speaking only for myself here, I think when the season schedule came out, I thought to myself, hey, like, I like it. It's not a Packers game. It's not, a Lions game to begin the season. But now we're here. We're, as you say, days away. Like, I'm definitely not taking this lightly whatsoever. This is the Tennessee Titans that are revamped a little bit. They look a little different. They have new wide receivers. They have a lot of new guys to come in, and they're not to be taken lightly whatsoever. How do you feel as we sit here on Thursday, just days away from week 1 matchup of the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears, man?
I'm excited. All right. Cautiously, but I'm excited because of what you said. Like, there's no film on these guys.
Yeah.
All right. There's no film. Like, you can't study, and you have to you're going to have to fly by the seat of your pants. The coaches are going to have to, and it's going to be a great job. We're going to see what these coaches are made of, because they have to get the information to the players, because you don't know how they're going to roll coverages. You don't know the different blitz schemes that they're going to have, the different packages they have for offense. You don't know any of that. All right. There's no film. So that's a tough one. And then you got Brian Callahan, who's probably be calling the plays from Cincinnati. All right. Great mind. Look at he got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to the Super Bowl. All right. So, how far along is Will Levis? We don't know. They don't have the pounding running back anymore. Now it's a lot. Who's the guy from the Cowboys they got?
Tony Pollard.
All right, now you got different types of running backs that can come out of the backfield. There's a lot of different things. You can't look at any old Tennessee Titans tape, because it's a brand new team, and you got to be ready. So it is definitely scary. I think the defense really has to step up week 1, and if they do, give the offense some short fields, good field position, I think it'll really help. but it's going to be a tough one because you don't want to go 0-2, 0-1 into Texas, into Houston next week, staring at the Houston Texans. Because if this team starts off 0-2, God forbid, what's going to be, where is this city going to be? Where is the mental, that's the mental state of this fan base going to be? They're going to be just all over the place. So they got to come out. They got to win it. They're at home. But it is going to be a difficult task just because there's not a lot of film work you can do.
Yeah, and you're right, and we'll get into how we think it'll shape out ultimately, but and you mentioned, I think that's going to be the key. You mentioned the defense, like it really is going to be the key. I feel like because the Titans have actually set up Will Levis this season. Not, I wouldn't say exactly like how Caleb Williams is now set up, but they're kind of setting him up really well with the offense. And you got they added Calvin Ridley, they added Pollard. They replenished the running back position. Obviously, Pollard is not Derrick Henry, but Pollard is a talented running back. He showed that last year with the Cowboys. So the defense, I think, is going to be the key there because I think Will Levis is going to come out slinging the football. I think he feels a little bit better about himself. I'm sure, like just seeing some of his press conferences, it feels a little more confident. So I think that's going to be what comes down to, if the Bears win on Sunday or not, is if they're able to contain that offense enough, if they're able to get to it, get to Will Levis, because I think that's going to be the one thing, people look at as well this season for the Bears is how they get to the quarterback. So how do you view the Titans offense? I know you mentioned there's not much to look at, or at least with tape on there with Levis and all that, but like, how would you defend an offense that now has, a pair of wide receivers? I know DeAndre Hopkins is he practiced today, but I think it was started practice yesterday. He could play Sunday, nothing's for sure, but if DeAndre Hopkins plays, you got Hopkins on one side of the field and Kevin Ridley on the other. And that's not to mention some of the other younger guys in their roster that can make an impact on Sunday.
Well, keeping it a buck, man, you got to realize if he can play, where's he going to be at? He's not going to be 100%. If he's at 100%, he'd be, you're not just going to get 100% in 3 days. You know what I mean? 4 days. There's going to be something lingering if he plays. If he doesn't, it's great. All right. It sucks for them, but that's not our issue. All right. We've had plenty of times where our stars didn't play. And if he does play, I mean, you jam him. You force him. You go after I don't say go after the injury, but I don't remember what was it, his foot, his knee? What was? Do you know what was?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it was.
Yeah. Then you got to be physical with him. Then if that's the case, you know what I mean. When you're not 100% physically, you got to be physical. You got to create contact, like jam him and reroute, and because he's not at 100%. And what's going to happen is he's not coming off as fast. There's just so many different things when you see a guy who's coming back. And of course he's going to try and be a playmaker, but your body can only do what your body can do. And if it's not 100%, it's not 100%. So I think they're going to come out looking to throw the ball. All right, especially Will. He's a little more comfortable. His second season, got some more weapons. So this pass rush is going to have to step up. These our DBs are going to have to be on point, which they are. And I think they're really willing and able to show that they're one of the best, if not the best defense and best secondaries in the NFL. So Jalen Johnson talked about he's got a lot to prove, right? Tyreek Stevenson has a lot more to prove, as he had a good freshman year, or, rookie season. Now he needs to build on that. Kyler Gordon, Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker are settling into this role. This is their third year in this thing. So yeah, I'm happy, with the way I think that Tennessee's going to come out, but also because they're going up against our back seven. I think that's one of the best back sevens in the NFL.
Yeah, you're right. And I think, looking at the way the offense is set up for the Titans and with DeAndre Hopkins, and it's his knee, by the way, that's injured, that he was out for a little bit with. And you're right, it's not going to be 100% going into it. But looking at the offensive side of things for the Bears, obviously, we did mention Velus Jones and him making the team and all that, and how they're going to be utilized. But I was kind of curious as to how you think he's going to fit into it, because as I mentioned, they have a lot of new additions. They have a lot of new guys to the team. L'Jarius Sneed, for example, on the defensive side of the ball for the Titans, that's a new guy. But you could also make an argument that, hey, these guys still haven't meshed fully yet, and they might, it might not work well for them on the defensive side or offensive side. You never know how Calvin Ridley is with Will Levis and all that, how the relationship is just yet. But how do you see the Bears matching up with their defense? because obviously, like I mentioned with Velus Jones, how do you think he will be utilized? And how do you think they'll ease in Caleb Williams into game one? Because we've talked about multiple times how they set up Caleb Williams for success. And this, we're going to be able to see now firsthand how they do it, how they kind of ease him in, because with DeAndre Swift, you could have some screen throws, all that type of stuff to kind of, show off a little bit of his improvisation and all that, but also not put a lot of pressure on the guy to play hero ball and go off. So how do you see the Bears offense matching up against the Titans this Sunday?
I think it's more so because of the lack of film, you're going to have to do what you like, until you can figure out what their strengths and their weaknesses as the game goes on. I think that they're going to, what they should do, and most likely they're going to, because Eberflus has echoed it, rely on your playmaker, rely on your teammates. All right. So that's going to be a lot of quick hits. All right. 3-step drops. All right. Not too many 5 and 7-step drops. All right. We can keep you, put you in harm's way. 1, 2, 3, throw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, throw. That ball's coming out quick. All right. And you can do that, as I've mentioned before, slants, hitches, curls, crossing routes. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do to keep him clean. Keep him clean, for the most part. So I think they're gonna force him to do that and get the ball out, get it to the playmakers. Okay, and there'll be times when they go deep. All right, they're not going to go the whole game without taking a shot deep, of course. Yep. I really wouldn't mind if they went deep early. All right, just after a couple, like 2 or 3 plays, a couple first downs, then you go deep. It's going to put the defense, going to keep them honest. So because I think the defense is thinking the same thing. Like they're going to try the short game. I think after a couple, maybe second series, or after a couple first downs, you go deep. So, but I don't think they're going to ask Caleb to do a lot. Okay, except when things break down, which he's very good at. So I just hope that Shane Waldron has a good plan. I hope he does. I'm praying that he does.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I think, and it's one of those things where, even though you can't take the Titans lightly whatsoever, as you say, there's not much to go on there, but I'm still grateful that it's not Packers game one, or Lions game one. I think, and we've talked about countless times about how the schedule is almost disrespectful with the way they added the divisional matchups starting in week 10, and it's like Lions, Packers, Vikings, and then if we got the 49ers in there dashed in there too. So it's gonna be a gauntlet at the end of the season, but I think kind of if they're the way they're trying, the way that Caleb will be able to kind of adapt early on. Not that CJ Stroud's going to let him adapt either in week 2. It is going to be it's a very dynamic season, and it's going to definitely test him. And honestly, kind of excited to see how he reacts, because it's his first year. Obviously, we all want playoffs. We can all see playoffs, but at the end of the day, we want our guy to develop, and hopefully that's it's all positives there. But I did want to get before we move on a little bit to the the national games coming up. Did want to get a little bit to our predictions of this season. Really just want to get the record that you think the Bears will finish off with this season, because as we mentioned, as you said, if they start 0-2, people, who knows how the city of Chicago is going to react. And I'll be honest, I'll start. I'll make it easy, here. And I do think, unfortunately, not to be a Debbie Downer, they're going to start 0-2. I think after more analysis on and checking out the Titans and also talking to my guy Glenn Morgan. You see, the thing is, Glenn, I'll be honest, Glenn actually is the one that turned me on this, because he said, I remember I was like, I'm not even joking, I was like, yeah, Titans like 1-0, baby, Bears starting off 1-0, and then he's like, are you sure about that? And I was like, oh man, really, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then he gave me the whole like school of Titans and telling me all this, and I'm like, oh crap. So the thing is, I just think that it's going to be a good game on Sunday, but I think the Titans will edge the Bears just by a little bit, and I think the Bears will start 0-2. But listen to this, though. After that, the Bears go on a little bit of a run, and I think they enter that gauntlet of the regular season against their division rivals 6-3. So they go on a little bit of a run. And go 6-1 in their following 7 games. And I think ultimately they finish. I'm gonna be optimistic on to end it and say 10-7. I know it's a very common one. It's not going off and being risky on that one. But I think 10-7 is pretty healthy and it's pretty nice, right? Playoff wise.
Yeah, it's definitely you're in the contention. You're in the wild card talk.
Exactly.
You're in the wild card talk.
Exactly.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold
I'm
going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hold my exact prediction until tomorrow, on my show.
Ooh.
However, I will say this. I will say double digit wins.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll take it. Hey, we're company guys. You know what I'm saying? So now, if you want to see Shawn's prediction, you better watch Shawn and Maya. There you go.
Tomorrow, 9 a.m. I have Ken Davis going to join me, and also Frank Schwab from Yahoo Sports. So I got a local and a national perspective for the show tomorrow, and I'll give you my prediction on there. But I do see double digit. I think the defense, and the reason I say that is I think this defense, that offense that Tennessee has, it's you haven't seen it, but that means they haven't worked it either. You know, they're coming off of one training camp, and this defense is in the third year. All right, they're in their third year of this stuff. All right, Montez Sweat is in his almost first year, but he's settled. All right, he's had a complete offseason. All right, Gervon Dexter's had a big step forward. The cornerbacks. I think the secondary is unbelievable. Those linebackers is if Tremaine Edmonds can stay healthy, he's going to be real force. This defense is really understands that it has to carry the load for a while. All right. It's not going to be 50-50, maybe 65, 70-30, 75-25, and that's okay because they have the stars, they have the power, they have the strength to do that, they have the talent to do that. So I just don't, and I don't know if Tennessee's going to be firing on all cylinders week one. So I definitely think the Bears take week one going into Houston. Hoping probably Houston will probably be 1-0 as well. So two young quarterbacks, Caleb and CJ Stroud, and the best team win. But I think the Bears win tomorrow, and I'll tell you my score tomorrow.
There you go. That's what's up. Yeah, look. I always say it too. I'm pessimistic, but I always hope I'm wrong, baby. I'd rather have my team. I'd rather have my team prove me wrong than me be right. Like I swear, every time. But yeah, I agree with you though. It's definitely if the Bears defense if everything can just be executed, and obviously it's easier said than done, and it's also very cliche. But if you just execute, Bears were able to take them. They're definitely gonna be able to take them down because as much as it's a winnable game for the Titans, it's a winnable game for the Bears by all means. So I think like I said, hopefully I'm wrong and they're able to take down the Titans on Sunday. But we'll close out by kind of talking a little bit about the rest of the league because, of course, we're hyped for football because it starts today officially, and you got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens, and it doesn't even end there. They got a Friday game too with the Eagles and Packers in Brazil. Also looking ahead now too to the Sunday Night Football game, you got the Rams taking on the Lions in a rematch of that playoff matchup as well. Then you got a rematch of last year's opening game on Monday Night Football with the Jets and the 49ers. So first, what do you think about tonight's game with the Chiefs and the Ravens? And is there one particular game that maybe besides that one that you're looking forward to?
Tonight, Kansas City has the outlier, all right, in 15. All right. So even if they lose, and Patrick Mahomes showed he can go on the road and win. So even if they don't have home field advantage, like you can't say that anymore. Well, he's had all his games at Arrowhead or Gay House Stadium. He had them all. He went on the road and won. So now what are you going to do? I think this team is it's a veteran seasoned team. I think they want to come out strong. They're trying for that three-peat, first time in NFL history. They're on the precipice of history. They're trying to make history, and I think they want a fast start. I think Baltimore has a lot to prove. They're out to prove a lot. That the AFC Championship game last year, and Lamar couldn't get it done, and now they had Derrick Henry. I think Baltimore gets it done, but it doesn't deter KC because I think they're going to be there at the end. The championship game, fighting for a shot to get to their to win their third straight Super Bowl. So the Brazil game, the hell with the Packers. It could be, I don't care who they're playing. I want the Packers to lose. So I just want to bump them. I can't stand them. Yeah.
I agree. I'm right with you. That's why I'm like, I can't wait to hate watch that game tomorrow and be full Eagles. I'm going to be a Philadelphia for a day. Hell yeah! So that I can't wait for and to see that and it's gonna be pretty cool to just see Stafford returning again for the second time to Detroit to take on the Lions on a Sunday night game, as well as to see what Aaron Rodgers does against the Jets, because I feel like that matchup. He was only played not even full drive.
4 snaps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But there's you look at the schedule too, and there's plenty of opening game matchups too that aren't being talked about enough. I mean, you got the Steelers and the Falcons. Seeing how Kirk Cousins does in his first game in that offense, seeing how Russell Wilson plays. As well as looking at, matchups like Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars taking on the Dolphins. That could be a shootout. You mentioned the Texans might being possibly being 1-0 going into week 2. They're facing the Colts and Anthony Richardson to see how he reacts into playing again. So it's going to be a whole plethora of crazy matchups in week 1. And we can't wait because, football is officially back. And Shawn seems calm right now, but I know inside there's fireworks going off, and he's having a good time. So.
You know it. I can't wait for tonight. Go to my buddy's bar. He's got free nachos all night, and then he got free tacos at halftime. So what better?
Oh my God, that's what I'm talking about. That's the real tailgate food, right? That nobody talks about, right? It's not just hot dogs and nachos. Like burgers, like
tacos.
Yeah. That's what's up. But I think that's a good place to wrap things up for this edition of the Bears Den. I want to thank our guy Shawn Sierra. I want to thank as well Joe Tanksley for being on the episode last week, and hope to get him on next week as well. Hopefully he has a great school year as school is underway. So we wish him nothing but the best. So for this edition of the Bears Den, I am Saul Rodriguez. Thank you for watching, and make sure to watch all of our other content on Sports Zone Chicago with Shawn and Maya. You got Lakina and Sid on Second City Sports. You got the At Bat podcast as well, Slam Society and all that. Check that out for everyone here in Sports Zone Chicago and War Media. Take it easy and enjoy football because it's officially back.
It is back, baby. It is back.